Welcome to the video manual for the new Sensor SP386SX computer system by Samsung. This video manual will teach you everything you need to get your new computer up and running and working for you. I'm going to show you how to set up the computer, how to connect common peripherals like a printer or external floppy drive, and talk to you about the included software, such as the Windows 3.0 environment and more. This tape is split into different sections, each covering a different topic. This printed index, included with the tape, shows exactly what each section covers. Throughout this tape, you'll see numbers, like this one, in the top right corner of the screen. These numbers correspond to the sections in the printed index. If you'd like to skip ahead or review a section, simply fast scan forward or rewind the tape until the right section number appears. So, let's get started. Everything you need for your SP386SX system is included in this one box. Since you're already viewing this tape, you've probably opened the top of the carton and discovered the accessory box. In this container, you'll find the manuals, the mouse, and other small items, including the quick reference guide and warranty information. You'll also find a pamphlet titled Read Me First. This is an illustrated guide to unpacking and setting up the computer. It contains a complete inventory of the parts of the Sensor SP386SX system. Check the contents of the boxes against this list and contact your dealer if you have any problems. Packed beneath the accessory box is the box with the computer's color monitor. It's a bit heavy, so be very careful when you lift it out of the shipping carton. This is the CPU box. It contains the main unit and the keyboard. Like the monitor box, this should be handled with care. When you've got all three boxes out of the main carton, we can get to work. Open each box and carefully remove the components. Be sure to save the boxes and packing material. If you ever move or have to send the computer in for service, the original cartons are the safest way to ship the machine. Setting up your computer is really easy. Watch this section carefully as I guide you through these simple steps. 1. Choose a workspace. 2. Connect the keyboard and mouse. 3. Connect the monitor. 4. Connect the modem. 5. Add any peripherals, such as a printer or disk drive. 6. Plug in the monitor and computer. And 7. Turn it on. Before you set up your computer, you should take a few minutes to choose a good workspace. Of course, there should be enough room for the computer, the keyboard, the mouse, and some extra space for accessories such as a printer or an external disk drive. Your workspace shouldn't be too hot or too cold. Extreme temperatures can shorten the life of your system. For your own comfort, don't set up the computer in direct sunlight. This makes it difficult to see the computer display. To use the included internal modem, you must have a phone outlet nearby. If the nearest outlet is too far for the cable to reach, simply buy a longer cable. Finally, your work area should be near an electrical outlet or two. The Sensor SP386SX requires 2 outlets, one for the computer itself and another for the monitor. It's a good idea to purchase a power strip, like this one, that has surge protection. This will help you in 2 ways. It allows you to turn on your computer with one switch and also protects the computer from fluctuations in the electrical current. The extra sockets will also let you plug in your printer and other peripherals. Once you've picked out a location for your computer, place the main unit, sometimes called the CPU, in the middle of the work area. But don't put the unit in its final position yet, since you'll need to get at the rear of the unit to plug in cables. In fact, let's take a moment to look at the back panel so you'll know what to look for when you begin attaching cables. This is the computer's power connector, and this is the cooling fan. Nearby is the connector for the optional external 5¼ inch floppy disk drive. These two square ports, marked line and phone, are jacks for the internal modem. Down here is the computer's video port, where you'll plug in the monitor. Next, we have the parallel port for printers, and the serial port used to connect many types of peripherals. These two round connectors are where you plug in the mouse and the keyboard. It's important to plug each of these into the correct port. The keyboard connector is to the right as we look at the computer from the back. Now that we know the lay of the land, we can get to work. Look for the main unit power cable. One end of the cable has a standard 3-prong plug. This side goes into the wall outlet or your surge protector. Don't plug it in just yet. Leaving the cable free will give us some freedom to maneuver while we finish setting up. The other end plugs into the power connector in the rear of the computer. Align the holes in the plug with the pins in the connector and push the plug firmly into place. Like that. Next, we're going to connect the mouse. It's important to insert the connector into the mouse port properly. The top side of the connector is marked with an arrow. Carefully press the connector into the socket, making sure the arrow on the top of the connector is towards the top, like this. There. Now, the keyboard comes next. Place the keyboard to one side and find the end of the coiled cable. Like the mouse, its connector has an arrow to mark the top. Gently press the connector into place, making sure the arrow is on top. There. Now it's time to connect the monitor. On some models, you first have to attach the monitor's tilt-swivel stand. It's real easy. First, turn the monitor over. Then, make sure you position the stand correctly so it's facing front. It's marked with an arrow. Now, align these 4 tabs with the holes on the bottom of the monitor and press them into place. Finally, slide the tilt-swivel stand forward. It will click and lock into place, and your stand is attached. Place the monitor on top of or just to the side of the CPU. The monitor has 2 cables. The power cable ends in a standard 3-prong plug, which is inserted into a wall socket or into your power strip. The video cable ends in a special 15-pin connector that has 2 screws to ensure a good connection. Gently insert the video connector into the video port. There. You may want to take this time to tighten the screws on either side of the connector. You don't want the connector falling out every time you move the monitor. Now let's hook up the modem. These 2 identical-looking ports are used to connect your modem to telephone lines. A standard modular phone line plug will snap right into them. One connector is for the telephone line, and you may use the other to connect an ordinary telephone to the modem. So you can also use the line for ordinary phone calls. First, we'll connect the modem to the phone system. This telephone line cable is included with the modem kit. Each end has a modular plug. Press one of the plugs into the left socket, the one marked line. Be sure to match the snap on the modular plug with the notch in the jack. When the plug is all the way in, it snaps into place. The other end of the line cable is connected to the telephone wall socket nearest your computer. If you don't have the right wall socket or need more cable, you should be able to pick up an adapter and extra line at your local hardware or electronics store. If you have a phone to attach to the system, press its modular plug into the other connector. You'll be able to use the phone normally as long as the modem is not actually in use. And that's it. If you don't have any other peripherals to install, you can put the CPU and monitor into their final position, plug it into the wall, and turn it on. If you have some hardware add-ons, such as a printer or external disk drive, you might want to attach them now. I'm going to show you how to install these useful items. This is a typical personal computer printer. While this is a dot matrix printer, the procedure I show you here will work with laser and inkjet printers as well. This is because almost all printers for IBM-compatible computers are parallel printers. They're attached to the computer with a standard parallel printer cable, like this one. Now this is the printer end of the cable. You push the connector into the port on the rear of the printer, like this. The cable is held in place with two wire clips, here and here. Now the other end of the cable plugs into the parallel port on the back of the computer. Press the connector into the parallel port, like this, and then tighten these thumb screws on the sides to ensure a good connection. Your printer instruction manual will tell you about other details, such as how to load the paper. The next peripheral I want to talk about is the easiest to install, the optional external 5 1/4 inch floppy drive. This drive lets your sensor computer use these 5 1/4 inch floppy diskettes. This is invaluable if you're upgrading from an older computer that uses 5 1/4 inch disks, since you'll still be able to use your old software and your data diskettes. Inside the drive is a cardboard shipping insert. Remove the insert now, but don't throw it away. If you ever move or ship your computer, you want to reinsert it to protect the drive's read-write heads. Now, look for the 37-pin female connector here at the rear of the computer. It was especially designed for adding the sensor floppy disk drive to the system. Press the end of the drive cable into place like this, and then tighten the thumb screws. That's it. To complete the physical installation of your system, move your CPU and other components into position and plug in the power cords. Now that your system is together, we're ready to turn on the power. Here's the on-off switch. Press it in, and this power indicator light comes on. Next, turn on the monitor. This is the computer's power-on test routine. Now, as the system starts up, you'll see the benefit of the Norton utilities. It'll spend a few moments checking up on your system, checking the hard drive and running other safeguards. This way, in case of a system failure, you can recover as much data as possible. After these tests complete, you'll see this message. You have not yet created a set of system installation disks for your computer. Would you like to create one now? This gives you the opportunity to create a set of backup installation disks. These disks can be used to restore the software on your hard disk to factory condition if the software is ever erased. The message will come up each time you turn on the computer until you eventually take advantage of this feature. I recommend you run this option as soon as possible after setting up your computer. Of course, you must have some disks to copy the information to. You're going to need 13 3.5 inch high-density floppy diskettes. If the disks are available and you would like to run the program, simply press the Y key on your keyboard. Press the N key if you don't have the disks. For now, I'm going to press Y and say yes. The program is user-friendly and automated. When you press a key, this screen telling you the number of disks you'll need is displayed. It also asks you to take out the pre-printed labels. The labels remind you that the disks should only be used for restoring the system. Press the Enter key when you're ready to proceed. Insert a disk and press the Enter key again to start the backup program. After a moment, this message will ask you to make sure the disk is in. Then press Enter to continue. The disk will be formatted and prepared automatically. When the program is finished with a disk, you'll be asked to switch disks. Label the disk you just took out while the program is working on the next one. The first disk is special. It's your startup disk. If you ever experience problems with your hard disk, you'll start up the computer with this disk in the drive. More details are provided in the manual. When you're finished, put the set in a safe place. If you ever have any questions on using the installation disk program, see the user's guide. When you're finished making the installation set, the computer will return to its normal startup routine. You won't see the backup message again, but if you need to make a new installation set, there are details on starting it manually in the user's guide. Now the system can complete its startup procedure, and you are taken right into Microsoft Windows, the best-selling graphical interface, which makes computers very easy to use. The first time you start the computer, when Microsoft Windows starts, you see a screen which looks like this. I'll explain all about Microsoft Windows and how it works in just a bit. For now, take a look at this window, the Sensor Applications. This contains the icons, or pictures, which let you get right to the programs. These icons are the heart of the software which comes with the SP386SX. Later in this tape, we show you the basics of each program. For now, let's look at the icons. First, there's the Norton Utilities. You saw some of them in action when we started the computer. Then, there's the Sensor Tutorial. As you'll see, it's an excellent way of learning all about your system. Then there's YourWay, a personal information manager, a great program that helps you manage your contacts, calendar, to-do list, and more. This is the Norton Backup, which lets you back up or make copies of your valuable data on floppy disks. This icon is for Prodigy, an electronic global village, so you can use your modem for education and entertainment. Now, on to Balance Point, a home finance checkbook management program. There are two utilities here as well, a printer setup to help you easily install new printers, and video setup, which gives you an easy way to switch your VGA display between 16 and 256 colors. Working with these icons is fun, and for the duration of this tape, you'll see different arrangements of icons. This is because Windows is a graphical system, and I can take these icons and move them around, arrange them in a different order, move them to a different location, add new ones, or even delete them. This lets you set up your system the way you prefer, and is part of the power of the Sensor SP386SX computer system. How to use the keyboard and the mouse. The middle part of the keyboard is almost identical to an electric typewriter. If you've ever typed on a Selectric typewriter, you'll have no trouble using it. There are, however, two special computer keys that you should know about. One is called the Control key. It's marked CTRL. The other is the Alt or alternate key. Like the Shift key typists use to enter uppercase letters and punctuation marks, these are used along with other keys to add additional key combinations. These key combinations send special command codes that tell the computer we want to do something special. Now, the computer designers were not satisfied with just this way of giving commands, so they gave us the function keys. These are labeled F1 through F12. These keys do different things depending on the program you're using. The functions of the keys are listed in the quick reference guide. Towards the right, you have this cluster of editing keys. And at the bottom here are the cursor arrow keys, which are very useful in a word processing program. And on the right, we have a numeric keypad. The keypad is laid out just like a calculator keypad, but you may notice that each key has two labels. This is because the keypad has two uses. This is the numlock key. When you press it, the numlock light goes off. In this mode, the keypad behaves like cursor arrows and editing keys, as indicated by their labels. Press the key to turn the light on again, and the keypad is locked into generating numbers. Well, since you have the arrows on a separate keypad here, and the other editing keys, such as home, end, page up, and page down here, let's leave the numlock turned on. Now, let's try the mouse. As you may know, the mouse controls the position of a special kind of cursor called a pointer. With it, you can draw pictures, select items from menus, and use graphic environments like Windows. To use the mouse, cup your hand over it on the sides using your thumb and little finger. This leaves your other fingers free to press the mouse buttons. Moving the mouse moves this arrow here around the screen, like this. See? Moving the mouse so the pointer is over an item on the screen like this icon is called pointing. There's another important mouse function you should know about called clicking. The documentation for many programs will tell you to click on objects displayed on the computer screen. Move the pointer to an object, such as this menu title, here, then press and release the left mouse button, like this. Now don't let go of the mouse when you're pushing the buttons or you'll ruin your aim. There. Now I've just pulled down a menu. If I wanted to use a command on this menu, I would point and click on the appropriate word. For now, I'm going to close the menu. When I click on the button again, or on any other part of the screen, the menu disappears. Watch. See? Now, you may be told to double-click on an item on the screen. To do this, quickly press and release the mouse button twice. Let me show you. We're going to point to this icon and then double-click, which will open a new program. You may have to practice a little to double-click fast enough for the computer to notice. Finally, there's dragging, which is simply moving the mouse with the button down. I'm going to get us back to where we were so I can demonstrate it. Dragging is used to move or resize objects on the screen, like this. If you put the mouse pointer on this dark blue bar and press the mouse button down and hold the mouse button down, then move the mouse, this rectangular window moves along with the pointer. To stop dragging, simply let go of the mouse button, like that. You can also drag icons, and I'm going to do that now, but I don't recommend you move your icons until you know a little bit more about Windows. But here's how it's done. I'm going to put the pointer on this icon. I'm going to click, hold the button down, and drag the icon down here. When I let go, the icon disappears. Now it's gone. See? It's moved down into this program group called Games. Don't worry, it's not gone. It's still there. We've simply moved the icon from one place to another. Let me show you. I'm going to open up this program group called Games by double-clicking. And there it is. See? I'm going to talk more about windows and icons in a later section. A couple of hints. Try to keep about a square foot of your desktop free so your mouse has plenty of room to maneuver. And if the top of your desk is slippery, you might want to buy a mouse pad like this one to improve your traction. Oh, and before we go, besides the mouse and the keyboard, there's one more control you should know about, and that's the reset button, right here. If you're ever in a real jam or a software bug makes your computer lock up, you can press this button to restart the computer. But a word of warning, unless you're really stuck, never reset or turn off the computer when you're running a program. You can lose important information unless you save your work and then exit the program before turning off the computer. Your Sensor SP386SX computer system comes with a system tutorial program that will teach you all about the computer's hardware and software. You'll learn more about the keyboard, the difference between hard and floppy disks, what the computer's memory is for, and what your software can do for you. The tutorial also provides important tips on taking care of your computer. If you're a new computer user, you may want to run through it a few times to learn these and other important basic concepts. This is the Windows environment. I'll go into it in depth in the next section. Right now, you only need to know about one part of it, the System Tutorial icon. Right now, it's in the Games window. Remember? We moved it there earlier. Normally, we would find it here in the Sensor Applications window. When you start a program, the computer takes a moment to load it. I'm going to load the System Tutorial by clicking on it twice. This is the System Tutorial's main menu. Most of these icons take us to a particular section or chapter of the tutorial. The Help icon and the Exit icon, however, are special. The Help icon brings up a screen that tells you about the controls available in the menu. For example, if you prefer using the keyboard to the mouse, it will tell you what you need to know about the alternative keystrokes available. Exit takes you out of the System Tutorial altogether. Let's take a look at the first section called Go and learn about the tutorial controls. Click on the Go icon and wait for this screen. The Go section is about the tutorial itself. This is the first page of the section. Each page is a colorfully presented fact or piece of advice. If the text in the box is especially long, like this one, it may not fit on the screen all at once. If that happens, simply click on the arrow at the bottom of the scroll bar, like this, to see the rest of the message. Along the bottom of the screen are the 7 standard controls. These all work by pointing and clicking. The first control, Roadmap, takes us to a special menu screen. I'll show it to you later. The Help control takes us to the Help screen. Pressing the question mark on the keyboard does the same thing. This is the Quit control. Click on it if you want to get out of the tutorial in a hurry. Here's the Search control. It's similar to the fast rewind switch on a videotape recorder. It takes you to the previous chapter of the tutorial. Similarly, the previous takes us back one screen. You'll be using this control, Next, most often. It displays the next screen in sequence. If you want to skip to the next chapter, click on the Search key. From here, we can also skip back to the main menu by pressing the Escape key on the keyboard. The Hardware section has complete information on the computer itself. It uses the same controls as the Go section. It gives you an animated tour of the inside of the computer. You'll see the motherboard, memory banks, expansion slots, and other areas inside the computer. A section on floppy drives will teach you diskette care. This icon teaches you the software section. Here you'll learn about the programs that make the computer go, including the Windows environment, the MS-DOS operating system, and the individual software packages. The difference between Windows and non-Windows software is explained here as well. The roadmap icon takes us to a special index screen. Let's show you that one. Here it is. At the top of the screen is an alphabetical list of topics covered in the tutorial. The roadmap can be helpful if you're puzzled about some term or concept you come across while reading a manual or using a piece of software. You simply open the tutorial, look up the subject here, and skip to that part of the tutorial by clicking on the appropriate box. The bottom of the roadmap screen has boxes that let you choose which of the roadmap screens you want to view. The main menu box takes us back to the main menu, of course, and I'm going to click on that now. When you're finished with the tutorial, click on the exit icon in the middle of the screen, and in a moment, you'll be returned to the Windows environment. We can start using Windows, a program which lets you communicate with your computer by pointing and clicking on icons and selecting options from menus. If you've ever had to use the old-fashioned DOS environment, you'll really appreciate Windows. This is what Windows looks like when it's done loading. Superimposed on the gray workspace area is a window. All of Windows applications appear in their own windows, and this one is typical. This title bar tells us its name, Program Manager. This is the most important program that comes with Windows. It lets you start all of the other programs, called applications in Windows lingo, that come with a computer. Like all application windows, this one also has a border, a control menu box, and over here, the minimize and maximize buttons. Below the title here is the menu bar. These are the titles of pull-down menus that are available in Program Manager. All of the Windows applications have menus, but the titles and functions vary from program to program. These menus let you give commands and set important options. To pull down a menu, simply click on its title or symbol, like this. I'm going to click on the control menu. Now these commands here let you move, change the size, and close the window. Some of the selections on a menu appear in very light gray print. This means that the option can't be used at the moment. On this menu, the Restore option, which returns a shrunken or enlarged window to normal size, is grayed out. To choose a command, hold down the mouse button and drag the black highlighted bar to your choice. When you get to the option you want, you let go of the mouse button. If you don't want to choose an option after all, move the mouse pointer off the menu and let go of the mouse button. Inside of the Program Manager window is another window titled Sensor Applications. I'll tell you more about that just a little bit later. Now, closing a window turns off the program running in it. Because Program Manager is the heart of Windows, closing it puts you in the DOS environment. DOS is an alternate way of working with your computer. Chances are you won't want to use this very often because Windows lets you do the same job as DOS without having to learn those complex commands. If you do have to use DOS, click on the line in the control menu marked Close, like this. Almost instantly, this dialog box appears. Windows uses dialog boxes like this one to ask you questions and display messages. This dialog box asks if I really want to leave Windows. Since I do, I'm going to click on the OK button. There. This funny symbol to the left of the blinking cursor is the DOS prompt. It's the computer's way of telling us that DOS is ready to take orders. If you know how to use DOS, you could type in commands to run programs and manage files. For now, you only have to know one command, the one that gets you back to Windows. That command is just 3 letters long, W-I-N. Now the letters can be upper or lower case, but don't type any spaces. When you've finished, press the Enter key. And in a few moments, the Windows title screen appears. Notice here that our mouse pointer changes into an hourglass while this is happening. This is Windows' way of telling you to be patient while it uses the hard disk. Now let's look at the rest of the screen. Before, I told you that each program has its own application window. There's another sort of window, one that contains the project you're working on. A letter you're writing with a word processor, a spreadsheet, or a picture you're drawing with a paint program would be in its own window. Another example is the Sensor Applications window. Now this is called a program group. The little pictures in it are icons. They represent the programs that you'll be working with. If I close the Sensor Applications window, like this, we'll see that the Program Manager window has icons too. These are more program groups. Program groups let Windows logically organize its applications. For example, the Games group has 2 games that are included in Windows. If you added your own game programs to the computer, you'd want to put them here so you could find them. The Main group has programs that let you customize Windows, such as adding fonts and changing printers. The applications that came with your Sensor SP386SX can be found in the Sensor Applications program group. To open up a group, simply double-click on its icon, like this. The Accessories window has many useful applications, such as Write, the word processor, an on-screen clock, the Paintbrush graphics program, a calculator, and much more. To start a program, simply double-click on its icon. Now, there. The Clock Application window is open. This dark title bar means it's the active application. You may have heard that Windows allows multitasking. This means that it can run more than one program at once. Let's say I'd like to use Write, Windows word processor. Well, right now its icon's not visible. The clock is overlapping part of the Accessories window. This is an easy problem to solve. First, point at the dark title bar of the window, like this, hold down the mouse button, and move the mouse. Aha! The window's moving along with the mouse. We can put the window in any position, even partially off the screen. Let's put it here. Let go of the mouse button to freeze the window in its new position, like that. Now I'm going to click once anywhere on the Program Manager window to make it active, like that. Did you see the title bar change? Now double-click on Write to start it up. If a window is too small or too big, there are a few ways to deal with that. Let's try one now. Point at the corner or the side of the right window border with your mouse, like this, here. Now when I aim just right, see what happens? The pointer changes. The arrow becomes a sizing pointer. Now hold down the mouse button and drag the mouse toward the other side of the window. See? There, we're changing the size and proportions of the window. When you're satisfied with the size, let go of the mouse button, and the window will be redrawn to the new size. Notice that the Program Manager window is visible, here again. We can also enlarge the window, like this. Another way to deal with a cluttered space is by maximizing and minimizing. Let's try this with the clock first. First, I'm going to make it active by clicking on it. Like that. Now, up in the top right corner of each window are the minimize and maximize buttons. If we press the minimize button here, the window becomes an icon floating in the workspace background. But don't worry, we haven't closed the window or turned off the program. The clock program is still running and still keeping time. Watch. I'll double-click on the icon. There. The window appears as good as new. This is called restoring the window. Minimizing comes in handy when you want to keep a program ready for instant use. For example, I could start the calculator. Then I press the minimize button, and its icon is here, in plain sight, ready to use. The maximize button does the opposite trick. When I click on it, the window grows to fit the entire screen, like this. I'm going to click here, and now the right window has filled my entire screen. Now, over here, next to the minimize button, is the restore button. It's marked with 2 arrows. When I click on it, the full screen becomes a regular-sized window. If you have many applications windows open, you might want to use another screen organizing tool, the task list. To pop it up, double-click on the gray background, like this. Here's the task list dialog box. Up here is a list of the applications we're running. I can switch to any of them by double-clicking on its name. I'm going to do that now with the calculator. There. My screen looks kind of cluttered. I'd be out of luck if I wanted to see my word processor document while using the calculator. But the task list can help us here too. I'll pull it up again, remember? By double-clicking on the gray background. Now look at these 2 buttons here, Tile and Cascade. They let you automatically arrange your application windows. Cascade puts the active window up front, but leaves the titles of the other applications showing for easy access. Let me pull up the task list again. Tile divides the screen evenly between each application. Once in a while, a window or dialog box will have too many items to show at once. If this happens, special controls called scroll bars appear. These areas, here at the bottom and at the side of my tiled Program Manager window, are scroll bars. To scan the contents of the window, simply click on one of the arrows at either end of the scroll bar, like that. As I scan through the list, this light gray box shifts down the channel. The bar shows the position of the window on the entire list of icons. Another way to use the scroll bar is to click on the box and drag it to the position required, like that. You'll see scroll boxes in many dialog boxes and windows, so learn how to use them. All of these tools, scroll bars, maximizing, minimizing, sizing and switching, tiling and cascading, will help you keep your workspace organized. With a little practice, it will become second nature. Windows comes with its own set of useful applications, known as accessories. Since they use Windows' standardized menus, dialog boxes, and controls, you'll be able to learn them all quickly. Let's take a look at them now. As you probably guessed, the accessories icons are all located in the Accessories Program group. Now, we looked at Write, Windows word processor, before. It makes writing, formatting, and editing documents easy. You'll find it useful whether you're writing a letter, resume, or term paper. If you need to create a poster, logo, illustration, or graph, Windows Paintbrush can help. Here's its icon. Once I've opened it, I'm going to maximize it to make sure it fills the screen. There. Paintbrush is an easy-to-use graphics program with many special features. This area is where you'll do your work. And this dot here is my drawing cursor. These icons activate the tools you do your drawing with. Down here is the palette with a box for each of the colors you can work with. I'm going to draw a variation of the happy face. I'll start with this tool. This one here, the filled circle icon. Notice the icon highlights to show its tool is active. Next, I'm going to choose the colors I'll be working with. I'll click on the yellow with my left button to choose the color of the inside of the circle, and the black box with the right button to choose the border color. This box shows us the colors that we've selected. Now I can draw my filled circle. I place the mouse pointer at the upper left corner of the circle to be, press the mouse button, and drag the cursor down and to the right. By changing the position of the cursor, I change the size and the shape of the circle. As you can see, I can draw ellipses too. All right. There, when the circle's the desired size, I let go of the button, and we have our circle. Now I'm going to change the main color to black and draw my eyes. Now I'm going to change to the paintbrush tool here and finish the drawing. Let's see what we can do for a mouth. I think I need to practice a little. If I wanted to, I could preserve my picture in a disk file or print it out. Because the computer's memory clears when it's turned off, it's very important to know how to save your work. Saving works the same for all Windows applications. So let's save my picture for practice. Pull down the File menu by clicking on its name. Here. Then point to the Save command and click the mouse once more. Now a dialog box appears. It's asking me to type in a name for the file to save my picture in. This black highlight tells me that my typing will appear in this text entry box. I'm going to type happy. To confirm my choice, I'll click on the OK button. It's important to save your work often, especially before you make a major change or leave the program. The dialog box only appears the first time you save a document or picture because the program remembers the name after that. I'm finished with Paintbrush for now, so I'm going to double-click on the Control menu box to exit. Now let's look at some of the other accessories. Terminal is Windows Communications program. This is the software you'll run when you want to use the computer's modem. Terminal's menus let you set parameters like baud rate and parity. When everything's set right, the program will dial the number of the BBS or online service you wish to contact. Notepad is a miniature text editor. It isn't as fancy or friendly as Write, but it's perfect for jotting down quick notes or transferring text between files. The material you put in the notepad stays there until you erase it. The contents are preserved even when the computer is off. You probably won't use Notepad as a standalone program. It works best when used with other applications. Recorder is a very useful utility. It creates what computer mavens call macros. A macro lets you compress a list of commands and keystrokes, say to write and center your company letterhead on a memo, into one command. Once you've created a macro with Recorder, you can use it again and again, saving you a lot of time and effort. The card file does the same job as your personal phone directory or Rolodex. Calendar is a personal time manager. The calculator works just like a pocket calculator. You can start the program and then minimize it so it's always on hand. After you've made a calculation, you can cut and paste the results into other applications. The PIF editor is a special utility program for advanced users. PIF stands for Program Information File. A PIF adapts programs that weren't written for Windows so they work better within Windows. The accessories are powerful, easy-to-use programs that will help you get the most out of your computer. Next, we're going to take a look at some of the more specialized programs included with your computer. Complete Personal Information Manager. It can help you organize your address book, correspondence, and more. The YourWay icon is in the Sensor Applications Group window. If it isn't open, double-click on the Program Group's icon. Here's the YourWay icon. Double-click on it to start the program. And wait for the program to load. YourWay is a Windows application. The menus and dialog boxes you use work just like the ones in Windows itself. This is the YourWay workstation. I'm going to maximize it by clicking here. There. Now it's filled my whole screen. This is organized around a special card system. These cards can store anything an ordinary card file can. They could have the names and addresses of friends, a list of business contacts, recipes, the tapes and CDs in your music library, and so on. Right now, just one blank card is displayed. Let's load a sample card file. First, click on the File menu and select the Open command. This dialog box shows the card files we can use. I'm going to double-click on the file called Sample. When the file's loaded, all of the cards in the file appear. To flip through the cards, you can use the scroll bar here, or simply click on the exposed part of the card you want to inspect, like this. See? Let's take a look at an individual card. This card is part of a business contact file. The card has slots called data fields for names, addresses, phone numbers, employers, and other information. Of course, you can set up your own card file with your choice of data fields. At the top is the index line. The name or number here determines how the card is arranged in the deck. Down below are the fields. These are the field names. And here's the data on a particular person. Attached to each card is a pop-up note. To display the note, simply click on this Push Pin button. This note area is a sort of mini word processor that can hold about a full typed page of text. You can leave all sorts of information on the note. In the case of our business contact file, you could use the note to hold plans regarding the client on the card. In fact, YourWay can be set to update notes automatically. Every time you use the program to write a letter, make a phone call, or record an appointment, YourWay stamps a dated message of the fact on the note of the current card. When you're finished with the note, just double-click on the pushpin icon to hide it. The note is automatically saved along with the card file. The cards and notes are a handy way to organize data, but YourWay's real power is tapped with special tools. The tools, which include a datebook calendar, to-do clipboard, word processor, and telephone dialer, work with the information on the cards and each other to make writing correspondence, scheduling appointments, and keeping track of phone calls easy. These buttons start the tools. One of them, the calendar, is already active here in the background. For this demonstration, I'm going to use the Page tool. Click on the button here at the top and wait for the blank page to appear. There it is. The card file is shoved into the background here, waiting to be used. Now, we could write a new letter, but I've got one already written on the hard disk. I'm going to use the Open command on the File menu to load it. Here's the Open dialog box again. This time, sample letters are shown. I'm going to double-click on the file called Grand. And there it is, an invitation to the grand opening of a new store. But there's something strange about it. The name and address of the recipient are filled in with the data from the card we just looked at. YourWay automatically filled in this space because this is actually a letter template. Watch. When I select the View Template command on the page menu, my letter changes. The body of the text remains the same, but the addressee information has been replaced by the names of the data fields from the card file. The backward slash marks are a signal to the program that it should replace the field names with the data from the current card. To put the information back on the page, pull down the page menu and select the Fill Template command. Once we have a letter ready, we can print it. Pull down the File menu and select Print. This dialog box lets you choose print options, such as the number of copies you want to produce. I'm going to click on the OK button and start printing. And here it is. The template feature lets you turn generic form letters into correspondence tailored to any recipient. Templates are also used on the calendar and to-do clipboard. Let's click on the calendar tool and I'll show you. The calendar dialog box here is used to set the date of an event. I'm going to leave the date alone and click on the Predefined button here to see a list of templates. This list box has entries for common events such as interview appointments, airport pickups, and telephone calls. YourWay fills in the event template of your choice with information from a card of your choosing and stamps it on the calendar. Watch. I'll select the airport pickup template, click on OK, and now the calendar page has the reminder. Before, I mentioned that the note function keeps a record of all the letters and events that pertain to a particular card. Let's look. Click on the edge of the card that's visible. Then click on the Push Pin button. And here, on the note, are dated reminders that we printed a letter and arranged an airport pickup. YourWay has many other capabilities. It can print out mailing labels, share data with other popular spreadsheet and database programs, keep track of your documents, and much more. No matter what your business, you'll find many uses for YourWay. To exit from YourWay, simply double-click on its control menu box. Balance Point is a personal finance manager. It makes the task of balancing your checkbook fast and easy and helps you budget your income. You'll also appreciate Balance Point at tax time because it keeps track of deductible expenses. To start Balance Point, you must first open up the Sensor Applications Group window. Inside, you'll see the Balance Point icon. Click on it to load the program. There. This is the title screen. To get rid of the credits, simply click on the menu bar. To start, I'm going to open up the File menu and select the Open command. Now this dialog box appears. It lists all of the accounts that Balance Point is keeping track of. At the moment, there's only one account, a sample checking account for you to practice with. After you become familiar with the program, you'll create your own accounts. One for checking, another for your savings account, and perhaps one for a money market or vacation club. For now, let's work on the sample file. Click on the account description, then the OK button. Here's the account register window. To get a better view of it, click on the Maximize buttons for Balance Point and for the register window. As you can see, it looks just like a checkbook register. There are columns for the check number, the date, a description of the transaction, and for writing down the amount of the check or deposit. The last column is where the current balance of the account goes. Unlike a normal check register, you don't have to figure the running total. Balance Point does that for you. Just watch. Here, we can see that our current balance is $988. I'm going to write a new check. I double-click on the next line, and this dialog box appears. Now, this screen looks complex, but don't worry. Balance Point makes some entries, such as check number and date, automatically. You only have to fill out 2 text boxes and click a few buttons to enter your check. This box full of buttons lets us choose the type of transaction. These are called radio buttons because only one in a set can be pushed at one time, just like on a car radio. I'm going to choose check. There are also options for ATM withdrawals, deposits, and interest payments. Next, I'm going to click on the description payee box, and I'm going to enter the person or company that the check will be made out to. There, Miracle Novelty Company. The space below is for the amount. I'm going to type $187.98. And that's it. There are lots of other options. We could change the date of the check, put in the payee's address, or deduct the amount from a budget area. But what we've done is all you need to make an entry. To confirm our entry and make it official, click on the Add button. Now, if we had another check to enter, I'd click on the Check Radio button again and fill out the other fields. For now, let's see the results of the last check. Click on the Done button, and after a moment, our on-screen check register shows the updated figures. Here's the current balance, $800.02. What we've done with Balance Point in the last few minutes can save you hours of annoyance when it's time to balance your checkbook. But we've just scratched the surface. The program can chart your income versus your spending, print out your registers and accounts, schedule monthly payments, and much more. If you purchase computer-form checks, Balance Point can even print out checks for you. Because Balance Point is a Windows application, you can use it along with other programs. This comes in handy when you're writing letters or reports concerning your finances, because you have instant access to information on your accounts. When you're through using Balance Point, simply close its window by double-clicking on its control menu box. In a moment, Program Manager reappears, and it's ready for you to start another application. Included with the system is the starter kit and a trial subscription to Prodigy. Prodigy is the most popular, exciting online service with over 900,000 subscribers. With Prodigy, you'll enjoy a world of information and services at your fingertips. You can book your own flights and hotels, shop for great values on thousands of items, do your banking, check the stock quotes, the latest news, weather, and sports, play games and exchange advice with thousands of other people, and even check the online encyclopedia. To get started, find the yellow envelope the Prodigy Startup Kit, which is packed with your computer. Inside, you'll find a number of important items, including an easy card for getting started on the service, a listing of telephone numbers in this phone book, and an ID temporary password sheet. Now, to start the program, go to the Sensor Applications group and double-click on the Prodigy icon, like this. In just a few moments, the program starts. You're prompted for your ID and password, so locate your ID temporary password sheet and follow the instructions to get your ID and temporary password. I'm going to do that now. Now the system will ask you for a primary phone number. This is the number your modem will call, which will allow you to access the Prodigy system. Get your phone book from the envelope and look up the phone number that's closest to your home. Then enter the phone number and the network symbol, which is also printed in the phone book. There will be two phone numbers to enter, the primary number and an alternate if the first one is busy. But don't worry, you only have to enter this information once, and the software stores it for you. When you're finished entering the numbers, the software will automatically dial the service. You will hear the connecting tones, and if you entered your information correctly, you're in. The system will then ask you for some basic information about yourself and any other people that will be using the service. You will also be asked to choose your own password and to accept the terms and conditions of their agreement. Once you've done all that, you're brought to an opening screen, which is different from day to day. As you can see, I've got a flashing box here telling me that I have mail. Down at the bottom, I have a number of choices. Menu takes me back to a previous menu. Path is a nice way of standardizing the way I sign on. For example, if I always want to check stock quotes, then my mail, then the news, I can set up a path and the system will follow it. Jump gives me quick access to another part of the Prodigy service. I can quickly jump to another part of the service if I know the jump word. I can find jump words in my directory, which is part of the startup kit, or I can find them online as well. Help is where you get specific help with what you're trying to do, and exit takes you off the system. For now, I'm going to double-click on Path. See the bottom of the screen? You'll see advertising messages here. And if you want more information about the offerings of a particular advertiser, just double-click on the word Look. You can spend hours on the system since there's so much to do. It's a 24-hour global village where you can drop in at your convenience. For now, I'm going to double-click on Exit. Now, Prodigy asks me if I want to sign off or let another family member sign on. I'm going to pick one to end this session. And in a few moments, I'm back in Windows. This completes our video tour of the Sensor SP386SX computer system. I hope you found it informative. If you need further help, consult the manuals, the system tutorial, or the quick reference guide. Good luck and happy computing!